Welcome to the Mizells Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of two, a devoted wife to Steven, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Steven Mizells, caring father of two, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizells Show.
Right now.
Green tea day.
Green tea is every day. Like, you're always drinking green tea.
That song's stuck in my head.
Oh my goodness. Why the high-pitched voice, though?
Because I can't. He sings it pretty high.
Who is he?
Who sings that song?
Here we go. Well, we're back on the Mizells Show. The Mizells
What's
Show.
worse, my high-pitched actual song or your made-up?
Yours is way worse. This is like
wow.
This is a constant now on the Mizells Show.
Wow.
You didn't realize that? No?
What, you being mean? I can tell.
Nope, not being mean. My harmonizing at the beginning.
Is that what that is?
Wow. But I'm the mean one. And you just like belittling.
I'm honest.
You're belittling my
I'm honest.
You're honest. Oh.
Honest.
Honest is key. So, Alanna, what are you watching? Are you still watching the same shows?
Okay. Let me think.
Station 19, Little Things.
Yes, absolutely. But we started Ted Lasso.
We did start Ted Lasso.
I know we're behind the game, 8 ball, whatever you want to call it on this.
But I think we're starting at the right time because it's 3 seasons. Because if I would have started when it first came
so
out,
funny.
I would have been so upset because it'd been like, you're waiting for it. But we have 3 seasons now. Even though we powered through the first season.
We're going to cry when it ends. By we, I mean myself. I've already started quoting Ted Lasso.
You've already started quoting Ted Lasso.
I love it.
You've already found some memes of Ted Lasso.
I love it. Briggs is going to dress up as Ted Lasso for Halloween.
I can definitely see that.
If I can convince him. Oh my gosh, I think it's going to be hysterical. I think Maple needs to dress up as Coach.
No. Briggs should dress up
as Roy.
No, Briggs should dress up as Jamie Tart.
No.
Yes.
No, Roy.
And then Adele can be Ted Lasso.
I can be Coach.
You can be Coach.
You can be Nate.
I'm not going to be Nate. That's hilarious. No, I'm not going to be Nate.
You can be Sam. That's a good one.
Yeah, I can be Sam.
The Nigerian.
Sam's pretty funny. No, but anyway, yes, we started watching Ted Lasso. In the meantime, Alanna has...
I literally just think of it throughout the day and I just start laughing.
She's still watching her shows. You also watch Love is Blind.
Oh, absolutely. And if people want to rag on me, I just really don't care.
You've watched the new season of Love is Blind.
It's hysterical.
Okay, so what are you reading?
I can't remember the name of it. It's a Colleen Hoover book.
Colleen Hoover? Okay.
Look I don't even have it in my Goodreads. I am failing miserably on that. Wow.
Well, I've read 3 chapters since the last time we
3
did a
additional,
podcast.
Or you're at the 3rd? Oh, I'm reading Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover.
What is you in the side comments?
I'm trying to clarify. Those are thought-provoking clarification questions.
I've read 3 additional chapters.
Okay, so you're on chapter 5?
I am on chapter 8 now. Yes.
Look at you.
The Outliers is now in. I am in it. It is good. It's really fascinating. And it's talking about so many different aspects, which you could probably do a whole podcast on it. But it's really good. I am knee deep. And the premise of the book is basically saying that everything is not happened by chance. And that people are looking at the different scenarios they're in that have achieved their greatness.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's a good book. I'm enjoying it. What is Ugly Love about?
It's just a rom-com.
Another.
It's just a rom-com.
Is Colleen Hoover your go-to rom-com? Is she good? No?
She's good. She's good. Very in the in right now.
Okay.
People love her right now. Now there's 2 books that I want to read that are not rom-com-y.
Okay.
One, it doesn't even come out to the end of April. It's called The Enneagram of Emotional Intelligence, A Journey to Personal and Professional Success. So it's about paralleling your Enneagram type which if you don't know, I love the Enneagram typology podcast. Anyway, so it's this guy who worked with Ian Crone, who is like the uncle. They call him the uncle of it. And it's like really digging into your emotional intelligence, but also the emotional intelligence of other people. Ooh. So it's kind of like a Strength Finders on steroids. Got it. I was going to say a different word, but it felt worse.
Yeah, I think steroids.
Steroids is kind of safe. So it allows you to kind of lean into your different people's Enneagrams to be able to work with them both personally and professionally better, to be able to succeed together. So it's much more of like a managerial meets personal development book. So I'm super excited to read that. Don't have it on order. My birthday's on Friday.
That is a good. You should order it then.
Well, somebody should order it for me. And then the other one is by Shireen. I can't pronounce her last name. Atchison. She was She's an adopted. She was an adopted little girl. Okay. Now lives in. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get it wrong. I think it's Scotland, but she is huge in the diversity space, and it's a book called Demanding More. Okay. I just heard about it. Well, it came out. I think it came out late last year. It's called Demanding More: Why Diversity and Inclusion Don't Happen and What You Can Do About It. Oh, fascinating! I just thought it was fascinating. No, those are the two like non-rom-commy that I want to kind of dig into.
Nice. Any news stories you're chirping in on?
News stories.
Any news stories?
No.
Nothing?
I don't like the news.
You don't like the news? Well, the latest news that I got is some juicy gossip coming out of the state of Tennessee. Many people might have followed that, two Democratic lawmakers were expelled from the Tennessee House of Senate based on their protests of gun control. They have now been reinstated. So they got their seats reinstated. But when you go out and you do those type of things, sometimes you put yourself on blast. So if you don't know, simply Google Tennessee House Speaker Colin Sexton. He is the one that called for the resignation. But now with him kind of being more public through this situation, they are airing his dirty laundry. And it is like very juicy. Many people say that he actually represents an area where he doesn't live. He has a 2-bedroom condo in some area that's like, he doesn't live here, but has a $600,000 house in Nashville area. So like, do you really live in the area you're representing? And then last but not least, the allegations are now spawning of a mistress.
Saucy.
Of a mistress. And
is that who lives in the 2-bedroom condo?
No, I don't know where she lives. But long story short,
so you have
our lovely Tennesseans who are just kind of fed up, to a certain degree, were super petty and tagged his wife in the conversations with the mistress. No. And so if you're interested, feel free to Google that and you will see all the things and juicy gossips.
That poor woman.
To each
there's
its
two
own.
sides to every story. Like, I know.
Technically the wife might have known about it. We don't know their business. But anyways, it's a very hot topic right now in Tennessee, and people are calling for his resignation. The whole, throwing rocks at the glass house when you're not even looking at your reflection, because all the other things he has going on, but yet he's focused on trying to, focus on these 2 black lawmakers who, may or may not have broken the rules, but at the end of the day, what are you doing at your home that you're not keeping clean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, over the last, I would say, months, almost years, Alanna and I have done a lot of somewhat self-reflection.
A lot of somewhat?
Oh, yeah. I guess a lot.
Either we've done a lot of...
But I don't think we've done... You say that you've done, like, self-reflection, but, like, I guess all I was trying to say is we have done a lot of self-reflection, but it's been like bits and pieces. Like we're piecing together the self-reflection.
So I think self-reflection is a continuous growth. Yes. Mm-hmm. And like you can't just go to a 28-day program or sign up for a 28-day program and that be it. I think, like other things in life, consistency is always going to win over short-term motivation. Yeah. And I think that's where people get us confused. So many people ask us, how do you stay motivated? We don't. We're just extremely consistent people.
And we're getting better at consistent.
Yeah, I think what we want to be consistent in changes over time. Mm-hmm. But we always have something that we are being consistent with.
Yes.
In what we find important, I think fluctuates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's some sort of a routine, some sort of a consistency happening with us, helping ourselves and helping others.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Always, yes.
And so it's not necessarily motivation, because there are plenty of times. Like today we went to the gym. We actually got to go together during lunch. I sure as stars didn't want to go. And I sure as stars didn't want to up my weight. But it's kind of like we're both going, even if we don't go together, it's that consistency, because I go on Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the days I go to the gym and I lift.
Yeah.
So it's just like I just go. It doesn't mean that the workout's always going to be PRing. So I think it's the defining line between motivation and consistency.
Yeah.
But what's super important in all of that is ultimately Steven can help me do that, stay more consistent. But what we really want to lean into today is having an audience of one.
Yes.
Which is yourself.
Yourself. And I think so many times in your day-to-day, you are so ingrained to perform for the masses. And you wake up and performing for...
I think ingrained is a good word for it. And I also think inundated to perform for the masses. Because even when you're trying to not, you get on social media, you see somebody else at the gym, you talk to a friend who is like killing it in this, that, or the other thing, and it's this imposter syndrome that kind of goes into effect. So I think inundated is a good one. I think kind of all of those pieces.
All those pieces, yeah. And you wake up already ready to perform for so many different things. And when you go to the performance, it's something that you have to personally, dive in. Who are you performing for? But the last person you usually show up for is yourself.
Right. In ways that you can figure out who you're performing for. I always think of working out, because that's when I'm typically trying to perform for somebody else. And it's because I always wanted to perform for my parents, because I knew that if I performed better at athletics, my dad would be at that game, because he was a great dad and he didn't want to miss it. But at the same time, if I was just playing mediocre, he wasn't going to be able to be there. So for me, I could always hear my internal voice talking to myself about, like, it just depends on the scenario. So there was a time that I did a pageant, and it was talking to myself about, you don't want to be on stage in a bathing suit, because I had to get on stage in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on stage in a bathing suit. And that's how I'd push myself through these workouts. Like crazy workouts, crazy eating plans, super healthy for yourself. That's a joke. It's not. But so the internal dialogue, when you have just the audience of one, I think is a good identifying factor of who you're actually working for. Because now that looks more like every time I lift, I really try to say, as I'm doing a rep, I try to say, I'm healing from the inside out. And then I lift. And then the weights come back down. Like, think of like a chest press. I think most people kind of know what a chest press looks like. Or maybe a shoulder press. So my weights will be down, and I'll lift up, and I'll say, I'm healing from the inside out, which allows me to hold that contraction for about 2 seconds, and then I come back down.
So that's what you were saying today at the gym. I saw you talking to yourself. I didn't realize you were saying, okay,
I talked to myself.
Got it.
Yes. No. And I actually used to do this while playing softball. If I was pitching, I would talk to myself.
Yeah, I can see that.
And sometimes it would come out loud.
Yeah.
And everybody would think it was funny.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, almost having a mantra in my head helps to keep the internal voice that isn't so positive quiet.
Did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizells on Instagram or alannamizells.com to learn more.
And so I think that goes to our first little kind of like nugget point, is that you have to be willing to look at the reflection of that audience of one, because it's not easy, but like you said, you can look at your parents. I can look at things in my life, in my past, to see who I'm performing for, but to be able to look in the mirror, and I think the first thing I had to do is be grateful or be blessed or be thankful for who I am today. And I think I really struggled for a long time, really being okay with who I am today. Because you can't, strive for this or strive for that if you're not saying, this is where I am today. I am grateful for the body I have. I'm grateful for, whatever I'm trying to accomplish, if you don't embrace the reflection that you have currently. And for the longest, I struggle with that. And I'm not saying I'm over it now, but I still think I struggle with it.
Yeah. I think a part of that is also looking at, I'm trying to think of the words to kind of articulate. I think that you have to kind of go back. I'm trying to think of what show that was. It was on Station 19.
Yeah. So
a character was healing from past trauma when her dad would just work her to death.
Oh, I remember. And that's an episode I actually snuck in and watched with you.
Oh, it's
yes,
fantastic.
It was a good episode. Yes.
In this traumatic story, she goes back to the 3-year-old or 4-year-old girl, very young girl, and she can visualize herself, and she's literally visualizing herself holding that young girl to say, I'm there for you. Like, the later on self is there for you. And so I don't know if it's that imagery that you need to do, but also going back and telling that younger self that it's okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. Yeah. You don't have to perform for them that it.
Yes.
Whomever, fill in that blank. And it's twofold, I think, when you say that. Like, my parents, they did the best that they could.
Yeah.
But I think it's also super important to not put the ownership of your healing on the person you were performing for.
Because it's still on you. Yeah, I mean,
right.
I agree
still
with that.
Reflection piece.
Yes.
Because then you're saying to that person, they still are in control of your outcome.
Yeah.
Which is never going to work. You're not letting yourself heal and grieve from that. You almost have to pretend as if that person before is literally dead.
Yeah.
Kind of like death and resurrection. You've got to rise again in a different format. Very similar to the beautiful song Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, and how people are kind of reflecting back on that. And I think one of the biggest things within that song, which is our next point, is breaking the reflection.
Yes.
So you've got to go back. We kind of talked about that old person, that younger person, that different person you were dying to yourself now, which is a breaking of that reflection.
And you have to be, and I think that's something that I don't know if I've truly mourned that person. And
you have to.
You definitely have to. And that's why I also feel that I am in therapy now, and therapy is going really well. We are just tapping into the surface of all the things that I want to eventually get into. But I think that is a part of me that I have to be okay with mourning that person. And I don't think I've ever mourned it. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody really about, who that reflection is, and me being willing to mourn it and to say goodbye to it. And it's okay for me to, move on to where I'm trying to go now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the song Man in the Mirror, you guys know I gotta look up the lyrics.
Of course.
I knew there was a part.
Yeah.
So there's a section that says, I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize that there was some with no home, not a nickel to loan. Could it be really me pretending that they're not alone? I wallow deeply scared, somebody's broken heart, and washed out a dream. They follow the pattern of the wind. They've got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with the man in the mirror. So it's reflecting back on the fact that Michael, I mean, to each their own on their opinion of Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
But the lyrics of that is saying, I've put myself in this victim mentality.
Yeah.
And I can either stay with that and not have love for myself, or I can start with breaking the reflection that I see in the mirror and kind of reconfiguring what that looks like. And I think so many people, myself included, see a former vision of themselves or a vision that they thought they would become, and expect when they look in the mirror that that's the person they're going to see. And it negates everything that you've been through.
Yes.
It literally takes everything on your path and says, that wasn't valuable to me now.
Yeah.
So right now, I don't look, feel, think like I am not in my best version of myself. I know that. I know that as I grow, I will be better. And when I look at myself now, I have this kind of distorted thinking just based off of how things and things like that. But if I look at myself, and we're going to not get emotional, and say, well, I used to have this, I used to have that, I used to have this, that then negates the trauma in the growth, or the growth from trauma that Steven and I have had, or that I have had personally. Yeah. Which then says that the person before is winning.
Yeah. No, that is it's hard not to get emotional. There it goes. But it's hard not to get emotional, because at the end of the day, we so many times we look back at the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and take it as a grain of salt. But you have to also understand you are negating those experiences. You are negating the growth that you've gone through that. And if you say, if I did this, or if I would look this way, this wouldn't have happened. You're not benefiting from those times that you went through.
So, Steven, you said that you haven't gone back and kind of healed from this. Do you think that you have looked at your bicep injury and who you were at the time of your bicep injury in October? Do you feel like you look at your reflection now in comparison to where you were in October?
No. Like, I feel like in October, I was already, I'm not going to say unhappy. I would say I was in a state of transition. We had a number of things going on with before the bicep injury even happened that I feel we're already weighing on us as a couple and me. And so I think the bicep injury was
For those that don't know, I feel like we got to just say kind of what was going on. So in October, like the day before your birthday.
Yes.
Steven ruptured his bicep. You can go back. We talk about it because we had like a whole month off because we were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I was flailing as a single parent. Like, I was like, wow, you do so much more than I ever thought you did. And he was more like, I can't believe I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And he's still dealing with that. But at the same time, we found out that we were pregnant with our 5th pregnancy, our potential 3rd living child. And we had not planned on it. We were freaking out.
Yeah.
That's the understatement of the century. And then all at the same time, you were in a sling.
In a sling.
When Steven was in a sling recovering from his bicep rupture, I went into the ER with a hemorrhagic cyst rupturing.
Yes.
So Steven didn't really have time to heal from his bicep, if anybody was wondering. And then I had a miscarriage, which was there's a podcast on that. You can go back and listen to that.
Please go back and listen to it. It dives into all of that.
It dives into everything. But so that's a great point to notice, is that you chose to have the reflection for you to not heal from that necessarily. Because you were looking elsewhere.
Yes.
So was that a form of coping?
Oh, for sure it's a form of coping. And it's
how?
Because I feel like it was a form of coping because I continued to deflect and not sit down and actually, honestly, through this whole situation, I don't think I've ever looked in the mirror and actually had that moment of grace when we were going through all of that. It was.
Well, it's not over.
Oh yeah, it's still not over. It's still going on.
We're still not knee deep in all of it, but we're
still
pretty
healing.
We're pretty deep.
Yeah, we're still pretty deep. But yeah, so I mean, so I feel that it's going to come a point, and that's why I'm challenged by. Kind of goes to our last point. You have to find maybe growing that audience of one to push you to do something uncomfortable, and Alanna has pushed me to get back into therapy. I've never been like anti-therapy. I've been more of, it's not convenient, or I don't have the time for therapy.
And I think you also have this interesting scenario where your wife is a lifer in therapy. So I think part of the problem with having somebody in your life who has had severe anxiety and depression, you almost go in leveling out. Well, I'm not that bad. I don't have. No,
that's what you're saying.
The kindest way possible
that
to myself.
sense.
More like, I don't have it as bad as this person does. So do I need to waste the therapist's time?
Yeah,
I'm doing kind of okay. Like, we're figuring it out, and I think it takes a while, especially if you live with somebody, to see them actually healing and getting better. For you to realize, oh, I could get better. I could feel better. I could heal from some wounds. It takes kind of thought-provoking questions, and we were talking about reflection in particular. So maybe it's breaking that reflection, or your own personal reflection, or even more so considering adding to your audience is our third point in the audience of one. And that kind of being the decision to go to therapy. Yeah. Like, maybe it was hearing the things that I was saying or trying to work through, and you kind of leaning into, I think I know how to do that. Yeah. But I need a little bit more help.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the therapy. It goes back to someone that you are okay with adding to the audience, that is able to give you that raw reflection, that raw conversation to say, like, hey, as you reflect, as you consider breaking this, these are some things that I see. And you don't also, because one thing that Alanna has taught me, like, you take your therapist with a grain of salt. You take your mom as a grain of salt. You take your dad. But you can't put them as the holy grail. It's input for you to digest. It's input for you to have meaningful conversations. But they're now people who have lost relationships, lost marriages because they put this therapist on a pedestal. Yes, and they swear by what the therapist says. So they're
swear not your Jesus.
They're not your Jesus. They swear by what that person is saying. So we say cautiously, you should consider adding to that audience, but you have to be able to make sure that person or that conversation fits where you need to be in that audience of one.
And I think so. We had a podcast a ways back, and I was trying to figure out what it was called, but I thought it was Who's Your Shark, and it was talking about having a shark in your friend group who is going to be honest in all accounts. Many a times, that's just my personality. There have been so many coworkers that I have to say, okay, are you asking me because you want my real answer, or do you want me to make you feel better?
And this is something that we, as the Mizells show, feel very passionate about. If you listen to all 80 plus episodes now, you will know there are a few things that we kind of hang our hat on, and it's about savages. Having a savage friend in your group. What it is. You need to go find that. We'll link it in this podcast. Yes. But we are passionate about having that one person in your circle. Like I have that one person in my marriage, Alanna.
You have a savage friend too.
I have a savage friend also.
You do.
But it's about having that savage mentality of letting that person hear what maybe they don't want to hear right now.
Yes. And so I think that's important when you're trying to heal yourself, but also heal in a reflection, and adding somebody kind of into your reflection, is they have to authentically see your reflection. And so it's interesting because they
can't see your reflection with the filter on it. They have to see your.
They can't see it with the filter on it, but they also can't see it with their own filter on it. Because if you look at parents more times than not, and I am one, so I can feel like I can say this now. So many times, and gosh, we have seen it in athletics. There are so many parents that are trying to live vicariously through their kids that the filter that they have in their children is one that they can do no wrong. Yeah. And I think sometimes when you get a mentor-mentee relationship, depending on how long it's been, they think so highly of themselves and how they mentor that they cannot effectively help mentor the mentee. Because they see where they wanted to go and didn't get to, and now I can give you the pathway. Yes. You know how many people have said to me, you remind me of my younger self. If you tell me I remind you of your younger self, we aren't going to work mentor-mentee. No. We're just not.
No, yeah.
Now, I want a mentor who has been places, has been through life, isn't going to always be on the silver lining, was not served on this silver spoon, all the silvers, right? Yeah. But I don't want have a mentee that is already in the position of where I want to strive to go.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes their journey and not mine.
Yeah. Ooh, yes.
So I think that's so important.
Yeah, no, I
think
agree
that's
with you.
why our relationship and savagery works so well. It's because I have no desire to be in Steven's role at all.
No.
None.
No.
It just so happens we tend to do some of the similar things. It just keeps happening that way. I never really wanted to work at the University of Memphis in admissions. We just both worked in admissions at the same time.
Yeah.
I worked in little people admissions.
We just kind of have similar flows, I guess you could say. But no.
We do, but when it comes down to it, I don't want your job.
Nope.
I want you to exceed on your own. I don't want to become you.
Yeah, and I don't want to become you. And
Thank
also,
you.
when it comes to the mentorship, we keep those also separate. So,
sorry, one more point.
Yeah,
on that.
go for it.
Steven and I, just to make this clear, are not each other's mentors either.
Oh, no.
You cannot have a mentor that you are romantically interested in.
No.
You cannot have a mentor that you are best friends with.
Nope.
That is a very different line.
Yeah.
I think a mentor, within reason, has to remain pretty professional.
But here's a question for you, though. Are you ready to mentor somebody?
Yes. It depends on who the person is.
Okay. So you accepted applications? Tell people.
I'll accept applications.
Alana's accepted. No.
I would love to mentor somebody or somebodies.
Okay.
Absolutely, I would. I also recently, I get very nervous because I get worried that people aren't going to like me. And the quote that I say all the time is, people don't think about you as much as you think about them thinking about you.
Yeah.
And there actually was a study done on that, but irrelevant. I actually asked somebody who I think the world of professionally. Mm-hmm. She does not do anything that I want to do.
No.
Works in a similar industry. I don't care if she leaves the industry. She is a person that I would like to model my professional career after.
Yeah.
And my family life after. So it's like it's a two-pronged situation. Mm-hmm. And she is also a savage.
I don't think she realized she is either.
Oh, she's a savage.
It's a beautiful, yeah.
In a beautiful constructed way.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the right time.
Yeah.
But also has such a level of empathy and compassion that I need.
Yeah.
But I also need somebody who has the strong enough personality to handle me.
Yeah.
I know that's a tall order.
You're a lot to handle. Jeez.
I really am. I know I am. It's fine. I have strong opinions.
And you wonder why she struggles with Briggs, because he is.
We're the same. We're the same human being. Yeah.
No, but we appreciate you guys listening.
But the reason I said that is because do not be afraid. I never thought she would say yes, and we haven't worked out all the kinks of how the mentorship is going to work. But I was so afraid that this person that I have put on a pedestal, because I would like to model my professional career after hers, that she would say, I don't have time. And that's not what she said.
No, she
and I gave her the out. I was like, hey,
do
you have anybody that you think would be good? And she's like, I would love to do it. And I was like, excuse me? For me?
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to ask the question if it has to be through text message like it was for me in a group text message with Steven. No big deal. Because it's scary.
It is scary.
It's like dating.
But at the end of the day, it's scary. But, as we talked about, it's like you are on this journey performing for an audience of one. Mm-hmm. You have looked at your reflection. You are breaking each and every day, consistency / breaking your reflection. Mm-hmm. And you now have come to this point where along this journey, there are a number of people you could have stepped out and asked for joining your audience, but you've crafted and thought through those people, and now we're looking at it.
I've been realistically looking for a female mentor for almost over a year.
About a year and a half.
February of last year.
Yeah.
So a year and 2 months, I started to really hone in on that because I know where I am in my personal growth journey.
Yeah.
I will not be able to get where I want to go without adding to my audience.
Very true. And we are not telling you who our mentor is. We ain't spilling those beans. But
no, because you're not trying to steal her.
Oh my gosh. Well, we appreciate you guys listening, tuning in.
Steven's accepting applications as well.
Yes, I am.
We're not really accepting applications.
No,
just reach out to us.
Just reach out to us.
Oh
Thanks,
my God.
guys.
So if you guys are enjoying this, definitely leave us a review. Give us the feedback. If there's something you guys want us to talk about, reach out to us on our website at themizellsshow.com. There is a contact section. You can put it in there. We would love to hear about it. Or you can always go over to Instagram at The Mizells Show. Also, as always, don't forget to screenshot this episode and just add it to your stories and tag us on Instagram, on Facebook at The Mizells Show. Thanks, guys. Are you loving The Mizells Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellsshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram at The Mizells Show.